Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going over questions 63 to 67 of ACER's Pink booklet, which is also called Practice Test 3. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, good or bad, send me an email or go to the website and I will try and help you out the best that I can. Okay, so in question 63, we are asked for Miss Hare, Mrs. Jolly most significantly represents. So again, most significantly, those are our key words in the question. So let's start off with what is the context. And I think this is always a good way to start, particularly when you're dealing with fiction. So we have Miss Hare, who's lived by herself in the edge of like a small country town. She's now grown old, and so she's having this housekeeper come in. Um, and what are we told about Mrs. Jolly? We're told that she has these hips that would assert themselves in in navy blue. It talks about like her breathing in there as well. She has letters from daughters and nieces, and it describes that these letters are telling of lives lived unbelievably in other places. Then it says it was frightening, frightening. Okay, so what does Miss Jolly significantly represent? She represents A, which is emotional contact. Why is that? Because one, it's contact. You know, Mrs. Jolly has letters. She's physically in her house, which is not something that we see really happening at all in the rest of this passage. So there's the contact, but it's also the emotion because these letters are lived. They're from daughters and nieces, so they're, close people. It's emotional people. Um, but you can also get it from just ruling out the other answer options because they're all quite wrong. So B, conformity and authority, there's nothing in there that suggests conformity or authority either. You might have got it from the word asserts, the hips. Says the hips assert themselves in navy blue. Don't see that and think like authority. It's just describing the hips. A physical threat, again, you might have thought it from asserts, but no, we're just Mrs. Jolly just seems like like a grandmother type figure. Um, and then youthful energy. No, she's not really displayed as someone that's youthful, or someone that's particularly energetic. So it's not D. So the answer is A. Okay, question 64. For Miss Hare, the world beyond Zandu was so A, something intriguing yet threatening. No, it's not intriguing. There's not really any evidence that she wants to go and explore the world outside. And also, again, go back to the context. She's lived at the edge, like in this mansion, her entire life. If she did want to explore the outside world, she probably would have done it by now. Okay, so no, it's not intriguing. B, a manifestation of superficiality and material greed. No, there's nothing in there about greed or superficiality. C, something to be sheltered from that was of no interest to her. That is again correct. And again, go back to the bigger picture. She's living in this mansion at the edge of a house by herself her whole life. And she's upset when Mrs. Jolly comes in. She feels like Mrs. Jolly um, is she's not really happy with it, at the end where she says, "Ah, no, no, no," she protested. So she's clearly sort of happy or content in her current situation, and she doesn't want to go outside into the real world. And then D, a constraint from which she had escaped but wanted to rediscover. Again, she doesn't want to rediscover it, so it's not so it's wrong. And then we have no evidence that she has like escaped from it. Like she used to live in the outside world and now she's come in. We're just told at the beginning that she's lived all of her life in this mansion. Okay, so the answer for that one is C. 65. The passage suggests that Mrs. Hare's love was thought to be pitiable because. So we're told it's pitiable in line 13. On these she would expend her great but pitiable love, and because that was not expected, it ceased to be pitiable. But then she talks about this bird. So I think the bird's quite interesting. So what's happened to this bird? Um, Once it was related. So again, just that wording, we don't know if this is like a true story or not. It could be one of those like rumors or myths that just sort of sprung up around her, or it could be true. We just don't know. So this bird has fallen into her lap. She's reared it herself. She's she's injecting juices into its beak from her mouth, so she's feeding it. It grew into a dove, and then it flew away. It says then it flew away, of course, but would return sometimes, Miss Hare told. So it's flown away. A few times it's coming back, but again, we're not really sure. So her love is pitiable because it was one-sided, making her experience incomplete. The only time we have any like description about love is in regards to this bird and what happens. She rears this bird, she feeds this bird, the bird grows up and it flies away. So that's why it's pitiable. And then also, if you just look at line 13, the actual line they're pointing you to, it says, on these she would expend her great but pitiable love, and because it was not expected, it ceased to be pitiable. So again, it's not expected. Her love is not expected, as in like it's one-sided. Okay, so B, she knew that other forms of love would elude her. There's nothing in there about that. Her love was openly passionate and immature. We don't have any evidence here that she's passionate about anything. And she sought love through grief. Now, again, don't bring your own interpretation into this passage. It's very feasible to construct a story where somebody was, deeply in love and then a tragedy happened and then they like retreated into this isolation world that Miss Hare is in. Um, that is a story that happens, but that is not the story we are given here. So don't think that she's, run off and hidden in this mansion at the side of a country town in Australia because of grief, like she's hiding from the world. So students often go D because they're sort of constructing their own backstory to Miss Hare, which we can't do. Okay, question 66. What does the passage suggest about Miss Hare and her world? So let's just look at the first few words of each line. You can kind of get it. So she sees, she acknowledges, she has constructed, she has chosen. So if you just look at those, what do you think she's done about her world? Well, she's constructed it. She's constructed this world in her mansion of in a way that she wants her world to be constructed and her life to be constructed. So that already gives you a hint that it's C. So let's go through them now in more detail. So A, she sees her world as forbidding and punitive. No, she sees maybe the outside world as forbidding and scary, but not her world. So don't get confused between her world, which is like the house, and then the outside world. B, she acknowledges only the positive sides of her world. No, there's also negativity in here. She's crying a lot in there. She's talking about love, she's talking about the bird that flew away. She acknowledges the negative side as well. She has constructed a world that always agrees with her. Yes, that is the correct answer, partly because of the word constructed, but also because if you look in the passage, there's a line that says, you could learn to do anything provided you wanted to. So that is a construct. Like she's saying, you can learn to do this if you want to, or provided you want to. So that is like a deliberate constructing. And then D, she's chosen an existence which she finds oppressive. No, she doesn't find this oppressive. And also that word chosen. Again, we're told at the very beginning she's lived in this place her whole life. It's not like she was living a different life in the big city, something happened, and now she's chosen to come out here. For all we know, she was born there and then just grew up there and never left. That's quite different. Okay, final one, question 67. The viewpoints of the narrator and Miss Hare. So, A, set up a pervading dissonance. So, as in, like, they clash with each other. No, they're not clashing. B, alternate in predictability. No, it's pretty predictable. It makes sense. The passage flows logically, so it can't be that. C, compete for supremacy. No, that would be like each of them fighting with each other to like try and see who is the stronger voice. That's definitely not the case. And then D, modulate into each other. That is the correct answer because you have her um her view, and then you have the narrator, and then you have her view again, and it just kind of flows in and out of one another. So that's why the answer is D. Hopefully that made sense, but if not, then send me an email and I'll try and help you out. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.